Bartholomew Town.
All right, welcome into Bartholomew Town. I'm Bill Bartholomew. Remember, you can hear every episode on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts, ripodcast.com, and on WPRO Radio from Boston to New Haven. Wherever you may be driving around, we'll find you there. Today, we preview something that is coming up this week on Thursday, the 13th, at the Avon in Providence. It'll be a screening presented by Newport Film of Ask E. Jean. This is an awesome project that is contemporary in so many different ways. E. Jean Carroll, of course, well known on a number of different levels. Sadly, unfortunately, I think contextualized as a victim of the current president of the United States. That is an unfortunate reality, but one that we live in right now in this bizarro time. Ivy Meeropol is the director of Ask E. Jean. I read from a bio, an American director and producer of documentaries for film and television, known for Indian Point and Heir to an Execution, and joins us here on Bartholomew Town. Ivy, thanks so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Where did the idea for this project, Ask E. Jean, come from originally, and how did you get involved in this?
Sure. 6 years ago, believe it or not, that's how long sometimes these films take. I read the cover story in New York Magazine that came out it was June 2019. That and E. Jean graced the cover of the magazine, and there was an excerpt published from a book she was about to release, and the excerpt described an encounter with Donald Trump in the mid-90s at Bergdorf Goodman, where he sexually assaulted her. And so she tells this story in the context of other experiences she'd had with men over the years as a member of the silent generation. She had been inspired by the Me Too movement to come forward with this story at age 75. And I was just really just so taken with how she told her story. It really was less about Trump himself than about that, just feeling that this was a story that needed to be told, that a lot of women could relate to and men needed to hear as well. So I really was intrigued by her, didn't know much about her. And of course, as I started digging into her background, I said, this is a woman who need to film about her, not knowing at all whether she would ever make it to trial or not, because of course that was 6 years ago. Did not know what would end up happening and how dramatic the two trials would be and her wins against him. So that's really how it started. I approached her. She was not interested. She was real, and there were other filmmakers, of course, circling her. And I was fortunate enough that someone recommended to her that she look at one of my past films, a film about Roy Cohn. And she really loved that film and decided that she would be willing to talk to me. And that's how it began.
You know, it's interesting because I think for a lot of people, it's true that E. Jean Carroll, they hear the name and they associate with Donald Trump, certainly on a generational level. And I think even in general, I work in talk radio in the afternoon. And as this story was really becoming like a daily type of story, it was interesting how few people, at least that would call into a radio station, that's not necessarily a poll of humanity, but people didn't really know her background, or if they did, it was sort of disjointed or through the funnel of news sounders and things like that. What was it about E. Jean Carroll's story beyond Trump that really grabbed your attention? Because at the end of the day, the Trump part is an unfortunate, in fact, a horrific encounter, no doubt. But there's so much more to E. Jean Carroll than this one encounter with Donald Trump.
No, absolutely. I mean, she's well known by some people as she was one of the most popular advice columnists in the States for 26 years for Elle magazine. She wrote the Ask E. Jean column, where we took the name for the film, and so she's known in that. And so I knew her a bit that way. But what I discovered was that she was an incredible gonzo journalist, really on par with Hunter S. Thompson. Some people would disagree with me, but I think a better writer than Hunter S. Thompson himself. She was a self-made at age 37. She had been married for a while, living in Montana. She sold one article after trying for years and years and years to break through into the magazine world in New York City during the heyday of the magazine world, where serious writers were writing major pieces, really in-depth journalism. And she took that chance at their age 37 and moved to New York and started her career and became the first female editor at some of those major magazines like Esquire, Outside magazine, Playboy. I was intrigued by this woman who just seemed to be so, she's so independent and so strong, and went, just really was quite a success. And then she also got the advice column, and then was given her own television show by Roger Ailes called the Ask E. Jean Show. She was very well known in New York City circles. It's part of what we explore in the film, is that she was actually probably more well known than Donald Trump was at the time in New York City.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thinking about the socialite scene of New York, if you will, that is a really fascinating statement, and it recontextualizes, I think, a lot of what people have come to know of the encounter that she had with Donald Trump. How much of a role does Donald Trump play in the Ask E. Jean film, that, to separate from the column, because I'm not sure if you ever wrote a column about him, or was, but how much of a role does the Trump situation play in this film?
This was such a challenge for us in making the film, because we really wanted it to be about E. Jean and her life, and a reckoning, and going, as a woman from the silent generation, looking back at the advice she gave women, the advice she gave herself, the way that she operated in the world, male-dominated world. But we use her experience taking Donald Trump to trial, because we have her video depositions where we actually get to experience almost in real time her own realization that she had suffered, which is a word she can barely get out. You see it in the film, like she can barely speak that word. And so it's like she has this bravado and this outsized personality, which was really masking in a lot of ways what she had gone through. So that's more important to me than the Trump part. But that said, we show Donald Trump in his deposition where he mistakes E. Jean for his wife, for Marla Maples, where he kept saying she's not, like, E. Jean's not his type. We show him defaming her and activating his MAGA followers, like the lowest of the low people who threaten her life, threaten her with rape, terrorize her. And so, we don't let him off the hook in any way, but we try not to focus too much on him. It's really not a political film in that sense. We're not trying to do a takedown of the Trump administration itself, but Trump as a person who sexually assaulted and has, been accused, has been accused by many other women. And we show the Access Hollywood tape again, because, for us to when you really show what he did to E. Jean, what was proven twice by two juries in the federal court, it's almost like a confession tape, the Access Hollywood tape. Yeah. When you look at it again in this context, and it's important because I think a lot of younger men and women, I don't want to keep just always saying, I think it's all of us that need to be paying attention to this. They don't even know about the Access Hollywood tape. They don't even know that Trump has been held liable for sexual assault, defamation. They don't know who E. Jean is. I mean, like you're saying, even after all the news that came out, it's still a narrow group who understand or recognize her, and those who have heard of her, don't believe her. And so that was another part we wanted. That's why for me, Ask E. Jean, the title is about, like, let's ask E. Jean what happened. Ask the women what happened. Believe women when they tell you.
Yeah. Super, super well said. And the title in and of itself, it is reflective of the direction that the film is intended to.
Sorry, my dog. Sorry, he just startled me. My dog was under the table chewing his bone. I'm so sorry. Did I mess up?
No problem at all. I'm glad that we have some yays in the background. That
that's true. Yeah, he agreed with you.
Absolutely. Glad someone does. But the film, this film, I think it's important to turn for Donald Trump, for someone who is a show person, who's an entertainer, obviously a professional wrestling star, kind of trash television star. At the end of the day, that's what he is. A guy who's obsessed with himself. It's nice to turn the spotlight away from him in this time in a way. And I think that is by elevating the story of E. Jean Carroll, it is in and of itself almost like it's an empowering decision that is offered as filmmakers, and I think as audience members as well. Your brain is, you now look at that Access Hollywood tape not as, oh man, this was damaging to Trump's political career, or it should have been damaging to Trump's political career. Can you believe that a country would elect somebody who said that? Forget about Trump.
Yeah.
Think about who he's saying it about or potentially saying it about. Now we've got a human
Exactly.
story.
And right, and thinking about what does it actually mean when he says I can just do that, because now you understand in detail. I mean, Eugene painfully recounts in detail in her video in the deposition, because she had to.
Bartholomew Town.
You've been hearing me talk a lot about Navigant Credit Union, and for good reason. As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communications, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Join me and Half Street Group founder and president Mike Rea for a conversation every month about news of the day, the hottest media analysis, and a look behind the scenes at how impactful leaders drive conversations. You can learn more at halfstreetgroup.com. Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by Newport Film. Check out newportfilm.com for all the latest screening details. Are you ready to take the next step in your career? At URI Online, we offer business and leadership-focused programs designed to fit your life. Whether your goal is to advance your career in fields like public administration, supply chain management, or training and development, our online programs provide the flexibility you need with the high-quality education you deserve. Learn from experienced faculty and collaborate with a network of professionals, all from the comfort of your home or wherever life takes you. Visit uri.edu/online to explore programs and start building your future today. URI Online. Learn anywhere with us.
What happened? And then you put those side by side, and it humanizes it. It's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. What about from your standpoint as a filmmaker working in 2025 in an era where, let's be honest about it, the president's on a retribution tour. We see huge changes to the direction that some of the major news and entertainment organizations are taking in their coverage. It's almost like it's almost heartbreaking to see at times. But for you to direct a film that is, again, it's not about Donald Trump, but I'm sure if someone played this for Donald Trump, he'd be doing a press conference with the president of, I don't know, whatever, Belarus, and someone would ask, "Oh, did you see this film?" And you would be a radical left, whatever. On and on it goes. Fill in the blanks.
Target.
You would be a target, no doubt. And I think there's an enormous amount of courage required. It goes well beyond First Amendment rights. It goes well beyond the protections of law to be making media of any stripe, whether it be painting in the visual art space, documentary film, or journalism, or songs, or whatever, that is in any way, shape, or form opposed to Donald Trump. You're now some kind of target. What's that like for you as an artist to exist in this environment? What's your advice to other artists of any medium that are concerned about becoming a target themselves and almost the responsibility they have to follow the story all the way, regardless of how dangerous it may seem?
Wow. That's a really good question. I certainly have been, while we were finishing the film, it was certainly, and we didn't expect him to be reelected. So, and so remember, it's been 6 years. And so I kind of in the back of my head thought, well, he's not. But so then he gets reelected. I thought, okay, now we're really stepping into it. Number one, I will say, you can't spend all this time with E. Jean Carroll and Robbie Kaplan and not have some of that, influence or buoy me, make me stronger. They are, very inspiring and strong. And so I would say, number one, that's an example of we have to stick together. If you have people around you who are saying, I'm putting my name on this film, I'm, Katrina Vanden Heuvel, I'm Sheila Nevins, I'm Jenny Warburg, I'm Laura Bickford, all these incredible women, Graydon Carter's on our EP list too. But put your name on things, find the people who are going to stand with you. That makes so much difference. I don't feel alone. I definitely, I'm not immune to having, nerves about things, but I've gotten to a point where I'm so fed up with how cowed people are, our media companies are, and they were just like this anticipatory, sorry, I'm not thinking of the right word. The kind of, just giving in before anything's even happened. That we're giving way too much. So we're waiting. We did everything we could legally. The film is extremely buttoned up. I would say to other artists or filmmakers, be very careful that you don't leave any wiggle room for someone like Trump and his people to go after you legally. Now he still could. He absolutely still could. But we are journalists. I see myself as a journalist, protected in what I'm doing. I didn't report anything original either. Everything has been litigated. That's talked about in this film. Everything's been reported in the news. So I'm not breaking ground. I'm not breaking news. So, but that said, he's a vicious, person who, I'm sure if he puts together who I am and my background, and I'm sure he could say things, and I worry more for what when he says something, because I've seen it happen to Eugene, what his followers do.
That's right.
That's what I worry about more. So you just heard my dog bark. He's not letting anybody in my house.
There we go.
But I'm joking, but it is serious. Eugene joke, she has 2 big dogs and she keeps a gun in her house. She has protection. She had to put cameras up. She was not someone who ever would have, and she resisted it, but until it became very clear that she had to.
Yeah. Wild times, no doubt about it. I don't know if it's unprecedented as we zoom through history, but in contemporary history, it's definitely unprecedented. So there's that as well. It's terrible.
But it's so important that we do whatever we can. I personally just, it's so upsetting what's happening that I don't think I could be doing anything but work on film that has something to do with trying to, stop the madness.
Well said. Thursday night this week, the 13th of November, the Avon Cinema in Providence, great cinema, great kind of art house cinema, right? It's not on the campus of Brown University, but it's adjacent. It's a legendary spot. We'll be there, screening of Ask Eugene, 7:00, followed by a panel discussion. I'll be moderating that. Ivy will be a part of that. It's all part of Newport Films' outstanding programming that has elevated so much of the consciousness, I think, of this region, not only Rhode Island, but the southern New England region as well. Ivy, thanks so much for your time today, and look forward to Thursday.
Thank you. So do I.
Bartholomew Town is brought to you by Navigant Credit Union, Half Street Group, the University of Rhode Island Online, and Newport Film.